Well, hello, Seekers of Grace. It's Mara here, your host. Welcome to this very special edition of our show. I am excited to pass the mic to Roo today, who will guide us through today's topics and explain everything to you. I'll be sitting back and enjoy the insights along with you. Take it away, Roo.
Hi there. So welcome to Seekers of Grace, Divine Magic, Healing and Mystery with Magical Mara. I myself now identify as a Magical Mara, and so I will be taking the show today. No. So seriously, for those of you who don't know, Mara can't say this because it's about her, but I can say it for her. Mara's actually one of the most awake healers in London, and she's incredibly good at what she does. Now, I know that she is going to be bringing out some new stuff for her one-to-one sessions in the new year. At the moment, she's in a mystery thing, where she's doing some development, deepening her awakening and her energetic system in order to provide more, or to increase her capacity for her clients in the new year. So she's asked me to step in. Okay, now, I will apologise. I've got a bit of a cold and I'm an absolute snot monster. So please forgive me on that one. My name is Roo. I'm a multidisciplinary therapist. I'm something called an MI level vortex, divine magic healer, as well as a theta healer. I did NLP, that kind of thing. I've been doing this for about 20 years. And I'm going to be doing a show. Mara and I together are going to be doing a show in the new year where we're really looking much more deeply at how to bring forward psychic gifts development. I do a lot of work with teachers and that kind of thing. So some of my work around that. So she thought it would be a really nice way to introduce me to you guys and introduce you to me. So for those of you who can't see me, just to understand, I am about 6'4" with piercing blue eyes, the torso of a Greek god, and fabulous salon quality hair. I do not look like a hairy version of Shrek with a voice for radio, just so we can be completely clear on that one. Now, today's show, we are going to look at love. The whole issue with relationships, a lot of kind of questions that have come from Mara's side, from some of her clients that she works with, and some of the questions that have come through my side with some of the clients I work with. In fact, somebody I worked with this morning, actually, that's come up. So we're going to cover some really important topics. Things like, number one, what is the point of a relationship from an awake point of view? Okay, relationships trigger us, they hurt us. We all want the happy dream. We never seem to find the happy dream. And when we do find the happy dream, we've got to work really hard on it, which doesn't sound like a particularly happy dream. So from an awakening point of view and from a conscious point of view, what is the point of having a relationship in the first place? Do you even need to have a relationship? Then things like a really common question that comes up would be, what and how do you actually attract a really good relationship? You know, we see all this stuff on the internet, all this stuff on TikTok about having to be, you know, the law of polarity. If you want to have a high value man, you've got to be a high value woman. You've got to be more in your feminine. Feminine's attracted by the masculine. And a lot of people do this. And again, a lot of clients that I have, and Mara has, come to us with all this amazing information, even relationship coaches themselves, etc., etc., and it's not working. So what's all that about? Then we're going to look at things like the law of vibration. We're going to go into attachment styles. We're going to go into sabotage, why people sabotage, how people sabotage, soulmates, really big topic, very misunderstood. What is a soulmate? Why do we have soulmates? And how do we find our soulmate? And do you even want to find your soulmate? That's actually a much bigger question than people seem to think it is, because we have a misunderstanding on what a soulmate is and what they're doing in our life. They tend to come in to change everything. If you're super happy, you're just feeling a bit lonely, but you want to have your life and just enjoy it more with a little bit more romance, the soulmate comes in, everything is going to completely change. And that's one of the big blocks that we all have. So looking at it from all of that point of view. Now, so first question, why do we even need to be in a relationship? Now, this is a question that I get asked quite often. And whenever I get asked this question, I know one thing: my romantic plans are not going according to plan. Now, so if you're like me, then you keep a lot of your emotions wrapped up in a ball, frozen in a vault, locked under 1,000 feet of mind ice. And what happens, we're all very good at being incredibly confident when we're by ourselves, and not much is going on, because we kind of get our life to a point where it hits an equilibrium. We've got issues with work, we've got issues with friends, we've got issues with people, but we kind of get to this point of balance, this kind of comfort zone. And at the point at which we get the balance, and then the point at which we get the comfort zone, that's the point at which we stop growing. Okay, so from a spiritual point of view and from an awakening point of view, part of our soul path, the point at which we stop growing is toast for our awakening journey. So then we need these divine timing situations. And if you think about, there's a sacred geometry symbol with two circles overlapping, the versica piscia or visica piscis. I'm dyslexic, so I apologize if I'm pronouncing it completely wrong. However, it's the very beginning, just before we get to the seed of life and the flower of life, these symbols. Now, if you imagine two overlapping circles, if you get one circle, everything is you. Everything is fine. Everything is balanced. You're you in your comfort zone. Life may not be brilliant, but there's no growth. We're not going to achieve anything more. We're not going to get any higher. In order for us to become more, we need to become a different person. In order for us to grow, we need to let go of ideas and things that limit us. When we're by ourselves, we tend not to do that. So if we bring in a beautiful feminine or masculine partner, or however they want to identify, suddenly 1 minute we're sitting there going, everything is great and I've got life and I know and I believe in everything that I believe in. And then someone comes and they overlap and they have a completely different set of belief systems. Now, a lot of them should align, hopefully, and a lot of the values, their ideas, absolutely. But in the middle, where they overlap, now suddenly your idea and your views of the world may not fit with their views of the world. So you've got this person you love and you're connecting to all this amazing feelings of joy and happiness and abundance and sexiness. And now suddenly they're upset with you for something. They're angry with you for something, or they're doing something and you're upset with them for something. And suddenly in the middle there, we then create the fire of movement. Our egoic structure starts breaking down. And as our ego doesn't fit with the reality that we're in, and that's what the ego is designed to do, then the ego has to evolve, the ego has to change. If you look at the versica piscia, these two overlapping circles, we talk about the eye of Ra, or the eye of God in the middle. And what we're really looking at is the eye of truth. So the ego holds us back from seeing the absolute truth. And we need to let go of our beliefs, we need to let go of our identity in order to evolve. And that's where the relationships come in. Now, when we're looking at it from a deeper level, we're looking from it at a awakening point of view. There's a lot of different parts that come into the awakening. So we've got, first of all, we have our journey. We have our descension journey, where we're gathering all of our karma up and we're gathering our pain, we're gathering our separation. And then we start our awakening path. And on our awakening path, we're then healing the pain, we're healing the separation. So then when we incarnate, that karma and the pain that we're holding in our system when we incarnate needs to become part of our identity. So as a child, we go through a number of wounds, abandonment, not having our needs met, feeling that, you might be really happy and want to jump around on the sofa and play like a pirate when your mum, your dad says, stop doing that, and they tell you off, and you start learning that I can't be accepted for who I am. And this wound, we start separating from ourselves. Now, as we separate from ourselves, we create a new identity. This is all going to link into the relationships in a minute, okay? So we create this new identity, and the identity is based on our ego, and the ego is based in separation. Now, that separation is our karmic suffering, and a lot of our karmic pain manifest so deep we can't even feel it most of the time, and we don't feel it until someone comes along and they trigger it. And that's the point when it comes into relationships and soulmate, we need to have our pain triggered. So quite often there'd be that question, is this the right relationship for me? And what people are really asking me is this relationship going to hurt? Because is this the right relationship for me? The answer is yes. Is this a relationship I'm going to enjoy being in? Maybe that's a whole different question, but it's bringing up what we need to heal. And I was listening to Ram Dass about a week ago. He was talking about the difference when we're on our awakening path. When we first start, like a normal human being, let's just say a normal human being, we are designed to run from pain. We are designed to run away from suffering. Something hurts, we get away from it. You put your hand over a candle flame, it hurts, you take your hand out of the candle flame. That is the whole point of egoic consciousness, to save us, to rescue us, to keep us safe. When we get to an awakening or an awake human being, this is where we have the consciousness to understand that this is coming up. It means it's triggering something in us. So when pain comes up within the relationship, now rather than running away from it, we lean into it. We're like, okay, this relationship is bringing up pain for me to heal. When I heal this pain, I'm healing my heart. And when I heal my heart, I'm embodying love. I'm getting closer to love. So now I can look at the relationship as a vehicle for awakening. Now, when you think about life, money, we've only had that for a couple of thousand years. Careers and jobs, again, we've only had those for a couple of thousand years. But humanity, we've been on Earth for maybe 2.5 million years, longer than that. And so we've had this karmic path. And so if you think about it from that point of view, most of the stuff that we go through, most of our soul journey is in connection with each other. Again, little Ram Dass quote. I won't get too Ram Dass, but little Ram Dass quote is, we're all here. I'll misquote. The work of life, if you like, the work that we're here to do is to end as much suffering as we can for everybody and to gently walk each other home. And one of the things I like to bring in from my own work, little Roo quote, is that we can only help and we can only hold the pain of another to the level to which we've healed our own heart. Now, you can get somebody who's tremendously spiritually aware, particularly, they've been doing the yoga and they hit their samadhi experiences and they can channel this and channel that, and it might be the blue diamond of Egypt, whatever it is. But the level of embodiment through the heart is a very different thing. We talk about the law of vibration, we'll get to that in a little bit, but we talk about how high somebody is, how somebody resonates. But if you think about vibration as light, okay, how bright somebody is and how bright you can be, absolutely beautiful. But if you now think about the warmth within that light, that's how much you can, that's like the law of radiance, if you like that. It's not an actual thing. You can't Google it. I made it up, right? But it's the level of warmth, and that level of warmth that will affect anyone. So if you met somebody, Lady Gaga, huge amount of light, or someone, whoever you're really into, very, very light. But the next day you come away and it might be like, that's amazing. I met this celebrity and my God, they're so confident and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it doesn't have a huge effect on your life. But then you could be, in hospital and meet a nurse, or you could be talking to somebody on the street, or something could happen. You could just be talking to somebody who's in customer services, and the level of warmth, the level of compassion, and the level of radiance within the energy that they have completely changes what you're looking for and completely changes how you feel about yourself. And so we're talking about radiance. Now, the radiance, I call it, is the level of heart embodiment. Okay, so we have, and that's where the relationships come in. So if you think about where we got the separation, we manifest that separation, then we get together with somebody. And the crazy thing about relationships is the idea that what you're really doing is, when we're a child, we think everything's brilliant, everyone's love, everyone's cool. And so we then start learning, actually, I've got to do my homework, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I'm not loved for who I am, my needs don't matter, I've got to go to bed when I'm told, I've got to eat my greens. And so we separate and we create an avatar, we create an egoic identity, a hologram, if you like. And that hologram is then designed to connect with what we know of the world. So we've got all these parts of us that we think are unacceptable, and we go into the world hiding them. We create a whole identity to hide all these parts of us. We go into the world, and as we go into the world, we then find somebody using the character that we've decided we are, the identity we've created. We then find somebody, we make that person the most important person on the planet. We make their opinion mean more to us than anybody else's opinion. And then it's them that we show all the bits that we don't even want to see ourselves. And then we hope that they're going to stay with us. The terror that comes in with all of that. And that's where we're going to kind of get to when it comes to the sabotage and the attachment style. So there's another side of this I'm just going to bring in. When we're looking at the heart awakening, and we're looking at awakening of the heart within relationship, it's the only place it can happen. The journey that we're really doing at that point, if we lean into it, is the journey from karma to dharma. Okay, now if you haven't heard of dharma before, go back, and if you want to know more about karma, listen to Magical Mara's big thing on karma. She covered it very comprehensively in her last show. But when we're talking about karma and dharma, so karma is coming from a place of it's kind of a place of suffering. Karma is really a healing energy. Okay, so if I've got a lot of shame, maybe in one lifetime I did something and it was terrible and now I'm ashamed of myself, so I can't receive love. I don't feel I deserve love. Then in the next lifetime, I might have something bad happen to me, not because I want to be punished, but because when I forgive that person, I can then forgive myself. As I forgive myself, then I can receive love, because then I can feel worthy. So what we're really looking with karma is an undoing of the fact that we separate ourselves from love. If you think about divinity as unconditional love, divinity can't judge us. We can judge ourselves and say that we're not worthy. And the law of karma is where we heal those wounds to connect back to our own worthiness. But once that is done, we then go into dharma. Okay, so dharma is an expression of love, right? So imagine an old couple, and maybe the mother isn't doing so well, the old lady's not doing so well, and the old man is looking after her, and he's pushing her around in a wheelchair and all that kind of thing. He's very old, and it's quite difficult for him to do. Now, from a karmic point of view, it could be that in a past life that he didn't pay attention and he felt guilty and he didn't care, etc. So he's learning about compassion, he's learning about duty, he's learning about caring. But this is coming from a point of sacrifice. It's a difficult thing for him to do. It's tough. It's a challenge. And so he's meeting it and learning about love and learning about himself and learning about strength and stoicism as he's doing that. When that's healed, if you look at that same situation from a dharmic point of view, when it's dharmic, he's now acting as a servant of love. Okay, so he's literally acting as a servant of love. So he's looking at this woman and he's looking at how beautiful she is. He's looking at her path and how much he loves her. And he's connecting to her in pure love, in pure compassion, holding her space with absolute reverence, in awe of the path, the growth that she's going through. Maybe she's learning to receive because she couldn't do that before, and he's holding that space out of love. There is no challenge in there. It's the joy to him to do that. And that's where we go into dharma, karma to dharma. So I apologize for waffling. Going back to the whole relationship point of view. The point of a relationship is not just somebody to pay the rent, people to cohabit. Yes, we have the need to have more children, and there are new souls and starseeds who need to come to us, and we need mums and dads, etc., etc. The point of a relationship is growth. And within that growth, if you approach your relationship properly and you do your healing, the point of a relationship then is to heal to the point that we let go of all our emotional structures related to love, what it should be, how it should look, how we want to be treated. I can't believe you said this. I can't believe you did this. And when we let go of that, we then move into allowance. So with relationships, and it's quite clever, it's quite beautiful the way it's done, if you think about it, we get this codependency, okay? And the codependency is based on wounds. However, that means that when somebody triggers the wound, we're pulled into it. So it's almost like from a divine point of view, we're not designed to walk away from pain. We're pulled into the pain so we can heal it. And if the relationship is beautiful, if the relationship has love, even excitement and sexuality, even chemistry in it, we're pulled into that wound. But then there's also this payoff with love and acceptance. Now, ideally, we need to let go of the other person. So one of the biggest myths, let go of the other person so that they can be there. One of the biggest myths when it comes to love is that that person makes you happy. Okay? That person does not make you happy. What that person does is they provide the background through which you connect to your own happiness. There's a beautiful video, TikTok video, Instagram video, can't remember, it's a Tibetan nun. I cannot pronounce her name. She's quite famous now. It's got X's and Y's and Z's and H's in it, and I'm dyslexic, so I can make it up. It's Colin, all right? And what she talks about is the difference between Western love and a more kind of Buddhist version of love. And I don't really like that because it's not really Western love. It's more kind of awakeness or consciousness of love versus the consciousness of attachment. If we look at all of the videos and songs, if you want to have a #1 bestseller or you want to develop a course and make loads of money, find something that triggers people's codependency and do a course about it. Andrew Tate. Okay, Andrew Tate says pretty decent stuff, but he says it in the most offensive way that he possibly can. All he's doing is triggering the insecurity, and then he's making a lot of money off it. And there's so many coaches out there, and we'll get to that in a little bit, that's like, oh, to find the man of your dreams, to find a woman of dreams, you need to do this, and you're nothing unless you can X, Y, and Z. And we're really just feeding into the insecurity of everybody. Okay, so that's attachment. Now, love doesn't have judgment. Okay, if you think about light, you think about a white piece of paper, pure love is unconditional. We don't have the capacity for pure love. The more awake we get, the more we can have that capacity. But almost, I would actually disagree on a human level that we should actually really look for it within romantic relationship. We get to the point where we can love everybody, you know, like an avatar soul, you know, Amma or Buddha or Jesus or whoever it is. Brilliant. Okay. But within a romantic relationship, there needs to be a level of, I trust you to X and you trust me to Y, and we're going to kind of do this as a team, so I'm going to rely on you. So there is an element there of codependency. But when we connect into it, what she was talking about is, imagine a butterfly. Okay, so a butterfly comes into the garden. It's a beautiful sunny day, and the first thing that this child wants to do is, how beautiful is this butterfly? It wants to catch the butterfly, put the butterfly in a thing, keep the butterfly safe, and make sure the butterfly stays in the garden, because it's such a beautiful experience to have this butterfly. That's attachment. But now the butterfly can't express itself. It's there, it's going to die in the thing. There's no, suddenly we've lost the experience of the butterfly. So connection, rather than attachment, connection says, oh my God, what a beautiful butterfly. I'd love that butterfly to stay in the garden. But if I catch a butterfly, then suddenly the butterfly can't be what the butterfly was. And so what I'll do is, rather than trying to do that, I'll try and attract the butterfly into the garden, but I'll let go of having the butterfly. So I'm going to put flowers in the garden. I'm going to make the garden beautiful for the butterfly. And if it wants to be here, great. And if it doesn't, okay. So true love says, I love you and I enjoy the experience of you. And if you want to be that with me, then absolutely beautiful. And if you want to be that somewhere else, then absolutely beautiful. Because the level of, I want you to fly, means you can fly away. Okay, so when we're looking at, again, what is the point of a relationship? I've probably overcovered this point now. The point of the relationship is to let go of love, right? The point of the relationship is to let go of ourself, to let go of the clinging, let go of the attachment, let go of everything we think we should have, and learn to accept in its entirety what is there, the beauty of somebody, without the projection, without the judgment, without the criticism. And as we learn to do that, We learn to be accepted, and we learn to accept ourselves. We learn to be genuine without trying to fit in, without sacrificing our voice. If you've got somebody and they can't speak up, okay, you want to know what's on their mind and they can't speak up, it's because they're scared. And so if you let go of that and you understand, okay, they're scared, they find that really difficult, I can hold space for that. And I'll try and do that. I'll try and speak up to show them that it's okay. And I'll ask them questions. I'm going to hold space without judgment. When we hold that safety, eventually they can find their voice because it's safe for them to do so. Because the only reason that they can't have it is because they didn't feel safe. So if you give them that safety, then they can connect to their voice. But when they do connect to their voice, so can you. And so in doing that healing on yourself, you go there first and then they come in. So, okay, so we're going to move on, right? So the next question, so I'm just getting waved at. The next question now is, how do we find a good relationship? Right? Now, that is a question I get asked rather a lot. When I do, I realise that my romantic plans may not be going quite as well as I thought. No, okay, so one of the biggest myths, and it's one of the things that really massively annoys me. I don't get triggered by all that much these days, but oh my God, right? The law of polarity. Oh, right. Okay, so you can comment under this video. If you're watching on YouTube, you can tell me I'm wrong all you want. I have a very good track record in relationships, as in working with my clients. It can take quite a long time because there's a lot of rebuilding that we have to do. However, okay, what I want you to understand here is where the law of polarity comes from. Number one, when we talk about the law of polarity, opposites attract, very few places on earth do we actually see opposites attracting. We can talk about it in love. Opposites attract. At the same time, opposites also repel. Okay? And when we talk about, magnets, opposites attract, in magnets. But as far as I'm concerned, and I've studied the laws of creation, this is part of the work that I've done over the last 20 years, the law of polarity is not one that kind of comes up all that often. And there's a reason for that. So if you're looking at trying to attract a beautiful relationship, you've got to understand the law of attraction supersedes. So when we are looking at spiritual laws or the laws of creation come in a hierarchy. Okay, so one of the highest laws would be the law of free will. One of the highest laws of all of creation, the law of free will. Above that, the law of compassion. Okay, the law of nature, lower. The law of polarity, if it exists, is way down, because above it is the law of attraction. So, and this is where I get the clients coming to me, and they've been watching, I don't know, the Awakening guy. I'm not going to mention too many names. And there's some lady who talks about some really weird stuff. And then all of the coaches, okay, or so many relationship coaches, the law of polarity. Now, understand the law of polarity came from Jung and then was picked up by Esther Perel, who I think is an absolute legend. I love Esther Perel. She's absolutely amazing. But it comes in, it's being misunderstood now. So when we're talking about finding a partner, you have the law of attraction. So if you think you have a masculine and you have a feminine, and we'll go into this in a little bit. Now, if I'm sitting there and I can do all the healing on my masculine, I can connect in and I can find all the traumas, I'm a dyslexic boy and blah, 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 and everything, and I can do all of the healing on my masculine, I can become super masculine. Now, ignore spirituality, ignore energy, and just look at psychology. I could be super masculine on a scale of 1 to 10. My masculine template could be totally healed or almost totally healed. It could be around a 9, right? But my feminine template, as I look up in my relationship with my mum or my relationship with early girlfriends, could be bollocks. So if my masculine template is around a 9 or an 8 or a 9, like super high, great, I might be doing really well. But my feminine template is like a 2. It's not, by the way, and mum, if you ever listen to this, you're a legend, right? But my feminine template, if it's like a 2, then I can only attract a woman into my life who is healed to a level 2. Now, she could be super healed and she could be super in her feminine and I'm super in my masculine. We're not going to resonate. We're not going to be able to be together. When we look at the masculine and feminine, what we're really doing is the masculine, when you're growing up, your dad teaches you to this is how you connect to the world. Okay, so you look at your dad, hard work, putting in the time, putting in the effort, being kind, being compassionate, whatever it is. I need to, close one for most of us, if dad, your modern family where dad's still the major breadwinner, in my family, mum and dad both worked. But if dad's still the major breadwinner, we learn, dad's not around so much. He doesn't have the capability to be so emotionally present because he's tired when he gets home. My dad had to commute, get home quite late at night. So we then learn that actually work isn't about being happy. Work is about working hard. The typical worker mentality is I'm not working for myself, I'm working for someone. I need to put in the effort, I need to work hard. And if I work hard, then I'll get the money and I'll get stability. So stability depends on me sacrificing my own hopes, wants and needs and working hard. Then at the weekend, I'm going to cut loose. I'm going to go to the pub. And this is where we get the whole, like Friday nights, everyone's going out because we're so stressed during the week because we're doing that. That's the masculine template. Then mum teaches us to love ourselves. Masculine to connect to the world, mum to connect to ourselves. So now if we look at the feminine, masculine and feminine templates, yeah, brilliant. If you want to be super in your feminine, then there's a lot of self-love. Absolutely amazing. Okay, and there's another thing that we're going to bring in here that might trigger a few people. But if you're like that, that is not where, if you see people and you work with people, if you happen to be a healer or a therapist working, and you're working with a lot of people in toxic relationships, I'm going to be doing a thing in the new year as a TV show, which we won't talk about too much, but after that, there's going to be some work being done related to a little course on toxic relationships and getting out of toxic relationships. Now, if you could get a incredibly feminine woman, I'm sure many of you are listening to this, and the issue is you have a pattern. As nice as you are, as kind as you are, as loving as you are, as sexy and feminine and delightful as you are, you keep finding dickheads and getting stuck in toxic relationships. If you're so feminine, why are we not attracting healthy masculine? The issue is because as much beauty as we have within the feminine, if you go back and have a look at your mum and your dad, and you look at the dynamics that came in there, usually mum and dad, look at dad, look at the toxicity that came in. Was he a happy man? Was he an unhappy man? Was he emotionally there? Was he emotionally avoidant? What did you learn? Did you learn maybe dad's super busy? We love him for that. We're not saying anything bad. But when you were a child, was he too tired when he came home? Was he emotionally not so present? And in that case, you start learning that you don't matter. You learn that you're not as important as money because that's why he's doing it. You learn that you're not as important as the stress and the problems and the things that he's got in the world. So you learn that you're less important than them. Now, when you grow up, you could be super feminine, super beautiful, super delicious, as I'm sure you all are. But you'll find a man who just doesn't really care. You might find a guy who's a bit of a narcissist. You might find a guy who just is a little bit just lackluster, just not really there within the relationship, doesn't put in a huge amount of effort because that's what you learned as your love language. That's what you learned to put up. So just going back to that, the law of polarity, rubbish, absolute rubbish. But there is a big thing around it. So we'll bring it in. It's rubbish, but it's important. Bear with me on this one. So what Jung found and what Esther Perel talks about, when we're looking at, sorry, I'll put that to one side. So when we're looking at attracting a relationship, if you're a woman and you want a high value man, heal your masculine template. Even if you don't think about it from a point of manifesting, even if you don't think about it from a point of energy, just think about it from a point of a frame of reference. If you have a healed emotional viewpoint, a healthy masculine viewpoint, when a guy turns up who's healthy masculine, you'll recognize him. If you have a crappy emotional template for men, when a dickhead turns up, you'll be like, oh, he seems all right, because you don't have that reference point. Okay, so heal your masculine template. Now, what Esther Perel talks about and what Jung talks about is Esther Perel, if you want to have a look at this one, it's in the book Mating in Captivity. So what she was talking about, she's talking about libido. Totally different from attracting a mate. Libido, okay? Now, what we get with libido is imagine an island. You're one island, a beautiful, gorgeous island that you may be, with lovely sandy beaches. And the person you like, male, female, cat, dog, whatever it is the other island. Okay, so you see this island, you're one island, or you're on one island, they're on the other island, and you're like, hey, you look gorgeous. You look gorgeous too. Right? And we get the difference, right? So the difference is how far you are emotionally. Now, this also comes into the erotic template, the erotic mind. So if you think about a river, when we're both on the same level, it's very, very slow. But if one person is higher than the other, then we get this massive amount of energy that comes in. So the more challenging it is to be in the relationship, the more challenging it is to connect, the greater the energy that builds up. And this is where we get situations where, there's affairs, or people might fancy their lawyer or their best friend's wife or something like that, because it's like, I know that I can't go there. And so this energy starts to build up. This is wrong, etc., etc., etc. This is kind of where we then do things and think, am I a terrible human being? But let's just go back to the island thing. So you've got one island, you've got the other one. And the further they are apart, the more energy it takes to connect, right? Now, sexuality is energy. So in the beginning, we have this massive amount of sexual energy. And that's where the libido comes in, the fire, because you feel completely separate. They touch you on the knee. You're not comfortable. You're nervous. You get butterflies. When you become comfortable with someone, the butterflies kind of go because you're more relaxed. So the further they are apart, the less relaxed you are. And the less relaxed you are, the more nervous energy you have, the more sexy energy you have, the more all of this kind of energy that you have. Now, over time, as we bridge this gap and we got this kind of gravitational force of the two of us, that starts to pull us together. Okay. And as you start pulling into your partner, you get closer and closer and closer and closer and closer. And as you get closer, that energy lessens. Now, there's certain time frames. So around kind of 4 years, we have one time frame. We get something called the 7-year itch. A lot of affairs happen around 7 years. Get to 10 years, and we get this hive mind. We're living together, we're married. And now, rather than being two separate people with this energy to bring us together, it's now we're looking at the world through our minds. Like, where do we want to go on holiday? What's our favorite restaurant? The movie that we like to watch? What kind of music do we listen to? Etc., etc. And you become like this one person in these two bodies. Now there's no energy needed. And this is what happens with married couples. No energy needed. So the sexuality and the libido just falls. But we still have our need for validation. We still have our need for sexiness. We still have our need for deliciousness. We still have all of this stuff. Okay, and because we have all of this stuff, that's when we start getting bored, maybe affairs, we want to spice it up a little bit, but we don't know how because we have this thing. So the law of polarity, what Jung was talking about, wasn't necessarily the law of polarity, and what Esther Perel talks about is if you maintain your individuality. So if you have a guy, and yeah, do you know what? But he's super masculine. And so he's, maybe he's boxing in the evenings. He goes to the pub with his friends. He takes up golf at the weekends. He's sawing wood, working on, doing masculine stuff, working on the engines. Well, just stuff that has nothing to do with his wife. It's him enjoying being a man. And she's there super feminine. She's doing her care stuff. I don't want to be sexist or anything. Like, maybe, she's not necessarily going out with the girls, but she has her spa treatments and she's whatever it is that she really enjoys doing. And what happens is we maintain these two separate identities. The more powerful his separate identity, the more powerful her separate identity, the more fire we have in between the two of us. And that is where polarity comes in. It doesn't have to be polarity. What we're really looking at is the desire or the need, the importance of individuality, of keeping yourself within a relationship. And this is where we're now going to look at what is a good relationship. A good relationship is where your partner supports your individuality. If you imagine flying, if you are with a partner, do they want you to fly or do they want you to land on the ground for them? That is a huge question. Look at them. If you had a dream, just think right now, those of you who are in a relationship or those of you wanting to get into a relationship, if you have a dream, something you really want to do, maybe develop a business, go traveling, go bungee jumping, whatever it is, okay? If you really had this dream and it was really important for you, or not even that important, just a desire, if you have a partner and you said, I really want to do this thing, would they be happy for you and be like, yeah, even if it didn't involve them? Or would they be like, "Ooh, that doesn't involve me," or "I'm not so sure about that"? And do they want you to limit yourself for them? Okay. Now, if they want you to limit yourself, that's where the attachment comes in rather than connection. Okay. So what we're really looking for in a relationship is a relationship that supports our individuality. It doesn't support our sacrifice and our lacking individuality. They want us to fly, not to land. So now we get into, so I've debunked that. Now there's a couple of other bits and pieces that are really important to come in at this point. Okay, number one, right. So going back to where we're talking about masculine and feminine, I was watching a coach this morning on Instagram, and he's a big coach. You know, I really don't want to. Actually, no, I really do. I really do. I'd love to get on the podium and get all of the coaches lined up and just ask them these questions, because it just doesn't work. But now we're talking about archetypes. Okay, so Jung brought in the idea of archetypes. We've all got different personality types. Okay, love archetypes. Caroline Myss does a lot of good work on archetypes, although she sounds a little bit like a female version of Donald Trump. You will not be able to unhear that now if you listen to her. So when it's got archetypes, we're talking about the most powerful archetype in history ever, in my opinion, was the Queen. So if we look at so we've got the patriarchy. Patriarchy is around 2,500 years old. It's really kind of Roman Catholicism. A little bit before then, it kind of starts coming in. Before that, we did have patriarchal societies, but a lot of them were polytheistic. So a lot of them, like even Greek, we had Zeus as the top, but you had you could be down the feminine side or you could be down the masculine side. Egypt, we could have the feminine, we could have the masculine. A lot of for about 10,000 years, we had a lot of cultures that were masculine and feminine. And then if we look really back further in time, we've got the Stone Age man, Mother Earth. We've got a lot of matriarchal societies. Okay. Now, the Queen, so if we look at humanity, as a man, my job, if I want to continue my genetics, and this is something for all of you ladies to understand about men, we look at men being dominant, we look at men being controlling, all this kind of stuff, but understand this. My job was to find a partner who is a teammate. Okay? As a Stone Age man, I need to know that she can handle herself. I need to know that she is not basically there for me to provide, look after, protect. Yes, great, I want to do that, but I also need to know that she's got this. All right. So as a Stone Age man, what I'm looking for is complementary power. I want a powerful woman that's not going to fight with me, but she has power in her own way. So first of all, look at this, where we're looking at a woman being, oh, I want a man to lead me, all that kind of, yeah, brilliant. But, you know, we've had a long day, we're trying to earn money, we're coming home and blah, 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 blah. We want a woman who's strong. It's one of the most important things. Our archetype, where we learn about women, we learn about our mum and we look up to her mum. That is our thing, right? So then later on, we've got these little things, we've got this situation where we've got a woman and she's meek and she's sweet and she's nice and we've got to lead her and we've got to do all this kind of stuff, and it's not necessarily what we're actually looking for, but that comes in a minute. So we've got the Queen. When we've got a woman, we now need to imagine going back into Stone Age. We're doing it because we want to continue our genetics. So if we die but she stays alive, it doesn't really matter so much. So we've got our woman, we get her pregnant and she's in the cave, and then suddenly wolves turn up. As long as she makes it out alive, she's got a better chance. If she dies, the children die, because she's got to feed the kids. If I die, it doesn't matter so much. So actually, from a genetic point of view, men are designed to bond with a woman to the point that we don't mind giving up our own life to make sure she's okay. That is what we're doing. So when we look at the patriarchy came in, wasn't just to control women, it was actually to control men and stop men. Because if you're trying to send, you're Rome, you're trying to send men out to war, and they're turning around going, yeah, die in a field in Germany or stay with my wife. Do you know what? I think I'll stay with my wife, actually. So the patriarchy was actually to unempower women so that men would lose their emotional connection, and then men would go. And so there's a lot of that disempowerment still in society, where we're talking about, man's got to be masculine, women's got to be feminine, but our idea of feminine is a very powerless level of woman. But the Queen archetype and the Muse archetype, these are things that inspire men and men become stronger. So we actually like strong women. So when we're looking at archetypes, we've got the queen. A queen will go with a king. So if you've got a man who's a king archetype, we are not talking about Andrew Tate here. Okay. King archetypes, they can be quite psychopathic. They're building, they don't really care who they hurt. They do, but just don't get me wrong on this one. So when we've got a king archetype, he's looking for a queen. He's looking power couple, okay? He's looking for a woman who's an entrepreneur. She's got her own stuff going on. She doesn't need him at all. And together they can just destroy or build the world. That's what he's looking for, a powerful woman. Then we've got the general, okay? A general, or even a kind of a prince archetype. Prince don't become king, by the way. And queen archetype, princess archetypes, they don't become queen. So we've got a princess archetype. Now, if you think about the princess archetype, that's more the archetype that we've got today. That's the kind of the general, or if you think about a princess, very pretty, and she gets looked after, everything is given to her. This is not me being toxic. Don't worry, I'm just saying from a point of a princess. And her job is to look beautiful, be a hostess, be supportive, and to help. But she's very much in the background with the man in the foreground. Okay, and the man might be a general, leader of an army. So he's a server. He's not a number one. He's a number two, and he'll go for the princess. So he's very much, there she is, I'm going to serve her. And so we look at this active service. That's where the princess archetype comes in. So where we're looking now at masculine, feminine, you've got to be in your feminine, you've got to be in your masculine. Number one, straight out no. Number two, what kind of guy do you want, and how do you want to be looked after? If you know how you want to be looked after and you know how you want to contribute, maybe you're not a feminist, maybe you're traditional old school values. I've never had a woman cook for me. It was old school values. But anyway, now you're looking at, it's not a king that you're looking for. It's a general that you're looking for, kind of a knight in shining armor. If you're kind of woman that likes the idea of being rescued, I've got a lot of stuff going on and I'd really like stability, someone to come in, then that's more the kind of damsel and the knight archetype. So if you understand it through the archetypes, it's going to massively help you find the relationship you're looking for. But then the other side of it is we don't really get to choose, do we? I've never, ever, ever gone out dating and thought, hang on a minute, I'm going to choose X, Y, Z. You meet someone, you really like them, and they either screw you up or they're great. It's kind of, if you get to choose, that would be insane. Okay, so where does all of this come from? Now we're just going to go into, got a little bit of time left. We're going to go into the self-sabotage and how does this happen, and attachment styles. Okay, so big thing coming up now related to attachment styles. We talk about avoidant attachment. So a lot of people come to me as a therapist where they found someone amazing. You've got a huge, incredible connection, and suddenly that person just legged it. Or you found someone amazing, you got a great connection, and suddenly they're really needy. And you're like, oh God, I don't really know what to do with this one. And so that's where the sabotage comes in. Okay, now what you've got to understand with attachment styles, when somebody has an avoidant, when they need more space, what they're learning, or what's going on for them, not what they're learning, but what's actually happening for them is fear. So when we're a child, we are complete love. Everything is love, 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 love. And the first thing that happens is, we might feel abandoned. Mum might, we're crying upstairs and mum doesn't come and get us, or we need to be changed, or we need food, and we learn I am hungry. And then we learn a sense of I based on not having that love there. So our identity starts growing. Now, if one of our parents that was meant to create stability, either mum or dad, is unstable, they've got their own stuff going on, or maybe they're a little bit toxic, or they're a little bit angry, or whatever it is going on, I learn that when I'm dependent on them, but the more I depend on them, the more likely I am to be hurt. It's not safe for me to depend on them. I need them to do something. They don't do it. Then I feel hurt. Then I feel abandoned. Then I feel terrified of loving again. And so the emotion, I learn as a child that my emotion creates problems. So now, as a child, my nervous system is set up to independence. When I'm by myself, when I'm independent, then I'm freaking safe. When I get into a relationship, suddenly, when my barriers come down, when my walls come down, my emotions come up, now I feel unsafe. Okay, so it's not, when that happens, when they run away, it's not that it's an insult, it's actually that it's a compliment. And what we need to do is heal your own crap. If you're feeling insecure because they've run away, no, heal that. That's your stuff. That is not theirs. They have not made you feel insecure. You are holding a wound and you are feeling insecure. what you need to do is heal your insecurity and say to them, okay, do you know what? They have run, which means they really cared, which means that really meant something to them, which means love that for them. If I really care about them, if I actually care about them, not about my attachment or my own, I actually care about them, then do you know what? I can see that they really cared about me. I can see that that's triggered them and brought up emotions. And that's beautiful for them because they need that. So I'm now going to hold space for them. And so my love language can be giving them space. Now have your own boundaries. Don't let them treat you like crap. Don't let them be mean, and never let anyone be disrespectful. But if you're not sure, are you still in the right relationship, or should you stay in a relationship that's causing you pain? My answer would be this: heal. When you're healing, look at your mum, look at your dad, look at what you learned from your mum and dad about attachment, and heal. Do your healing. Work with someone like Mara, work with someone like myself, work with whoever it is. Go in your own healing journey. And when you have healed to the point you are at peace with whatever is happening in the relationship, then you can decide, do I even like this relationship? If I'm at peace with somebody, they keep on buggering off, but do you know what? They bugger off. Each time they bugger off, it's 5 or 6 weeks. And actually, I would like to have I have a libido, and that's not cool for me because I want more than that. Okay, I want a little bit more physicality than that. Then I'm going to have a chat with them and say, look, you're great and love it when you're around, but you're not around enough. I'm not getting what I need from this. But I'm not triggered. I'm not angry. I'm not judging you. And I'm also not feeling insecure. I'm feeling secure enough to say, I love who you are. Do you know what? Come back when you're ready, but I'm going to walk away and I'm going to find something that resonates. Okay. So when you're healed, when your nervous system is working well, you don't have the wound that pulls you off your compass. Now you can look at the other person with love and decide, I can look at you with love, but I don't enjoy the experience that I'm getting from you. If I don't enjoy the experience that I'm getting from you, now it's going to be very easy for me to walk away without anger, without pain, without malicious. Now, if they're aggressive, if they're violent, then that's a whole different thing. Okay, then you need to walk away very quickly. And that can be the hardest thing in the world. I totally understand that. That's when you do need to work with someone. Now, if you're looking at, and this is one thing I'm going to bring in here, the thing I need you to understand is this: masculine energy is the same. It's your career. It's everything else. It's the same as the vibration of money. Money is a vibration of love, and masculine energy is the connection to money. So all of you ladies out there, if you are looking at why work isn't going brilliantly for you, or you're trying to find a new career, but relationships are a little bit rubbish, work on your masculine energy, heal your masculine trauma. And as you do, you'll not only will you find a good masculine template when it comes to looking after and providing you, but your connection to money will change. So now your career will change, your relationship with money, your entrepreneurism, you'll earn more, you'll bring in more, and then you can also bring in a man that can facilitate that as well. So the most important thing I can leave you with today is work on your masculine if you want to find a good man. Work on your feminine if you want to find a good woman. And once you have done that, then work on the other one. If I want to find a good woman, I'm going to work on my feminine, but then when she's there, I need to work on my masculine to create that container. All right. So there is that polarity, but I hope this makes sense. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have any questions or you want to argue with me in any way, shape or form, this will be on YouTube. Put your comments below. I will more than happily reply to all of them and we can do some follow-ups. But happy Christmas, everyone, and have a beautiful time. Oh, and send this to your friends if you like it.
Thank you for joining us today here on the show, and thank you, Roo, for sharing your wisdom with us. Make sure you check out Roo's website, elitesuccessclinic.com. You can also find him on Instagram at Roo_successmagic. That's ROO_successmagic. I have also opened a new website. Check it out if you like. It's magicalmara.co.uk. Until next time, stay cool, be well, and remember your magic. Ciao for now.